All right, Tate, Super Bowl Sunday coming up. The theme for everyone's talking about it. Big GOAT versus little GOAT. The old school GOAT versus the new up-and-coming.
Yeah, I think it was Nate Burleson that let the world know that a baby GOAT, the kid of a baby GOAT is, the whole thing. Yeah.
But the theme is obviously old school, new school. It's Tom Brady. He's, what is he, 63 years old? Is that what we're calling it? What is he actually,
43, I think, right? Yeah, he said he's playing to 50, so just take it at that.
Patrick Mahomes is not 43. He's considerably younger, and they are going up against each other in the Super Bowl. And we thought here at Fox, we're going to do an old school, new school thing. We work at Fox. Let's throw our hat in the ring. Let's do a little old school, new school talk.
In college basketball, because a lot of people in college basketball, they beckon to a pastime, a nostalgia for when they loved the game. So let's connect the new game to the old school
College basketball was always better 10 years ago. It doesn't matter what year it is.
The old Big East is the best conference of all time.
It's always better 10 years ago. So here's what we're going to do today. We are going to offer up our All-American picks.
Yes.
At this point in the season, we should say a lot of basketball left to be played. A lot of stuff could unfold.
This is a snapshot.
But this is how we see it right now. And we figured it could be fun to come up with some old school comps for these guys.
Yes.
So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to list the guys who we think are All-Americans.
Draft experts do this all the time.
Absolutely. We love when they do it because it tells a lot about the draft expert as to how he decides to compare guys.
Will we compare someone to Danny Ainge? That is the question, and I can't wait to find out.
Great question. I'll preface with this: we didn't necessarily shoehorn these guys into positions. I'm not a believer when I make All-American teams. If the 5 best players in the country are all centers,
put them on the team.
Those are my 5 All-Americans. I don't
bigs
worry
are
about
back.
it. But my team was close enough that I figured for this exercise, I'll assign them positions just because it's fun.
Okay.
But these are the top 5. Would you?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I kind of got to the end with my 5, and I said, yeah, I guess that works.
All right.
I could put them in the spots.
Well, I'll let you start. Go ahead. You want to start with point guard, even though this isn't technically whatever. We don't need a preface.
I guess this guy would be considered the point guard. I think he is the point guard of American basketball right now. He is the point guard of your Baylor Bears. He is Jared Butler. He is averaging, around 17 points per game. He is one of those guys that he's just a winner. And when I think about old school comps, one guy that came to mind who was a winner, who was sort of, more of a shooting guard, I would say, more of a 2 guard, but Jared Butler. He is a winner in every single sense of the word. And Juan Dixon of Maryland is a guy that he beckons me to, reminds me of,
great jerseys for Maryland.
Oh my God. What a time. You talk about looking back to this is 20 years back. And I'm like, my God, take me back. But Jared Butler's had a great year. I think Juan Dixon, obviously, we remember the national championship year in 2002 when he took the Terps.
And like Juan Dixon had Steve Blake, Jared Butler has Davion Mitchell. This, am I always the point guard? Sometimes I'm shooting guards.
Mitchell has more assists than Butler. Blake, I think, did the same thing with Dixon. So there you go.
Here's what I know is we're good at basketball. We are good at playing together. I'll let you guys figure out what positions we play. That's kind of the system. My point guard is Ayo Dosunmu of Illinois. And when you think about Ayo Dosunmu, you think about a guy who does it all. You think about a guy who's averaging 21 points. You think about a guy who's averaging 6 rebounds, 5 assists. I thought coming into the season he was going to be the best 2-way player in all of college basketball. I think Jared Butler's kind of taken that from him, to be honest with you. But Ayo is he's balling out. Illinois is having a great year. They dipped there for a second. They're bringing it back. And the comparison I make when I think about these guys who are point guard / Ayo could play really any position on the floor.
Absolutely.
And when I think about that, I think obviously of Hooks Wansner from what's funny? Hooks Wansner, the Rochester Royals, of course. Everyone remembers the 1952 season. Hooks put up 16 points, 5 boards, 4 assists a game.
Yes.
He's just a stat sheet suffer. Is Hooks is he a point guard? Is he a shooting guard?
Should we pull up the tape? Should we break down the tape? That's the real question.
In my mind, it doesn't matter. I think Ayo's the same way. It's just throw him out there, give him the ball, get out of the way. So,
and if you did not watch Hooks, and if this was not the game that you really homed in on, I had Ayo Dosunmu as well. He was my 2 guard, not my point guard. And my old school comp that I had was Joe Dumars.
So
if you watch basketball in the
slightly
80s,
newer school than what I was thinking, but
on the same track, So McNeese State, he was a super senior there. Goes in the first round. Is a loyal Detroit Piston his entire career. Had the ability to get 25 points per game if he had to, but also in the NBA kind of had an identity with the Jordan rules of being able to lock down as a defender. Ayo, I could see him doing that. I could see him buying into a team at the next level. I like that comp with Joe Dumars.
Well, we had the same backcourt. You wanted to put Jared Butler a point and Ayo play him off the ball.
Exactly.
I thought Jared Butler's a better shooter, so I put him at my shooting guard. Even though, like I said, you throw them both out there, let him figure it out. One's the point guard, one's the shooting guard. Maybe it changes possession to possession. That's what's awesome about these guys. So my shooting guard is Jared Butler. We just flipped. But like I said with Io, it's when you think of Jared Butler, you think of a guy you don't put him in one position. I know he's a point guard. I know that's if we're technically doing it that way, I'm putting him at shooting guard. The point is, it doesn't matter. The point is he's a guard, and the point is he's a playmaker. And when I think of guys like that, I think of Gentleman Gene Shue, who in 1960 with the Pistons, when he was just stuffing the stat sheet with 23 points a game, 7 assists. I don't love doing this. Like to me, it feels a little unfair to Jared Butler to make these comparisons to guy.
You know what the best part about this is? Going into this, we were scared we were going to have the same picks, and I'm glad.
I don't understand why you're laughing.
Are
you laughing because it's unfair that I am comparing Jared Butler to a 5-time All-Star, Tate? That's unfair.
I think that's unfair.
I think it's a little unfair that I compared Io DeSumo to a Hall of Famer who made 5 All-Star teams. But yeah, I see a lot of Gentleman Gene Shue in Jared Butler's game. 3rd pick in the 1954 draft. We all remember. So I don't think Jared's going to go that high, but he's shooting up the draft boards right now. So. That's the comp I see when I watch Jared Butler play.
Yeah, we're about 14 years away from the ABA's inception at this point.
I don't understand what's funny. Go ahead. Who's your small forward?
Yeah, my small forward, and I guess this is one of those things where after the fact I had to put them in because I had to have someone from Gonzaga, on my team, on my top 5. And I think a lot of people in the country, the hot pick is Jalen Suggs, the freshman point guard that has taken
very new school freshman. Yep.
The newest of school, but Corey Kispert is my pick. He is my small forward, and look at that headband.
That's an old school headband.
Yeah, that's an old school headband, and the WCC is an old school, conference. They have some old school history, but the man that he beckons to is a man who used to be at Grand Canyon. Thunder, Dan Marley, I think Dan Marley was a guy that. He was a shooter. He had a great jump shot, and I think a lot of people know him as Thunder Dan because of the dunks. And Corey Kispert this year, you and I both did this moment where we said, "Oh, we thought Corey Kispert was like 6'5".
Yeah, I mean we've been
like
watching him his
6'7".
whole career, and you just
now he's throwing down dunks.
There's something about the way he played that you just thought he was 6'4", 6'5", and then he's just kind of dunking on everybody.
He was a specialist, and now he's turned into a force, and very Thunder Dan-esque. So Dan Marley, Corey Kispert.
That's a great comparison because Dan was the same way. He was a shooter that you're just like, oh, all this guy does is shoot. All he does is shoot, and then you close out a little too strong. Pump fake, one dribble,
bang,
yam on you. So for me, Corey Kispert, he's having one of the greatest shooting seasons in college basketball.
Is he also your small forward?
He's my small forward.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we're on the same page with this. Corey Kispert, I think of a guy who makes shots. You know how much I love shot makers. He does shoot a lot of threes, but he makes them too. And I think that's the story when you look at what Corey Kispert has done this year is that he's averaging 20 points a game. He's shooting 58% from the floor, 49% from 3. It's insane. And when I think of shot makers, my mind immediately goes to Bucky Bockhorn of the Cincinnati Royals. 1962, averaging 16 points a game, shot 43% from the field as a guard. Yeah, Dayton Flyer.
Yep.
And the other thing that's interesting about the Bockhorn Kispert comparison, which I feel like is just one
right
and the
in our
same.
face,
right in our face. It's so again, I don't know if it's fair to Kispert to put this much of an expectation on him, but Bockhorn was obviously, we all remember, was teammates with Oscar Robertson, and I feel like that's sort of what Kispert is here, is where it's like Jalen Suggs is playing the Oscar Robertson role. Kispert's kind of the sidekick, but if you talk to guys who covered the league in 1962,
he wasn't a sidekick.
Bucky Bockhorn was not a sidekick. Bucky Bockhorn was what made that team go. So I think this comparison's pretty good for me. That Corey Kispert and Bucky Bockhorn.
Yeah, we're right on the same page. Let's keep it going. Power forward for me, I have Justin Champagnie, the ACC Player of the Year this year, and I think he has taken the college basketball world by storm. I saw Dickie V also had him on his first team. The guy that I think of when I see Champagnie, when I see the motor, he is a 6'6" kid, but he thinks he's 6'10". And he reminds me of Charles Barkley, the round mound of rebound, a guy that was 6'4", but thought he was 6'8", 6'9", and deserved every single ball, every single rebound. And the motor, the hunger, the fact that he hates the blue bloods. I know that Charles feels that way. Justin Champagnie's the same way. So Charles Barkley, Justin Champagnie, that's my old school, new school.
I like it. This is where there's a fork in the road here.
Okay,
so
nice.
You had Champagnie. I had at power forward, and this is again, we're starting to get into like positional. What are you doing, Titus? Like I said, I didn't really think of position till after the fact, but at my power forward, I'm putting Luka Garza, who is obviously plays center, but I'm going to put him on power forward on my team. Luka Garza is a double machine. He's going to win National Player of the Year. The way I would describe him is that he is inevitable. When he goes out and plays basketball, it doesn't matter if he's got his A game, his B game. It doesn't matter how well the other team's playing. The man is going to score 10 points and probably grab 10 rebounds.
Yes,
and come close to
no
it. Like
doubt.
the worst game he's had all season was against Illinois last week, and I think he had like 19 and 4 or something. And that's how good he is that every time he steps on the floor, he's doing two things. He's getting buckets and he's getting boards. That's what Luka Garza does. And when I think of other guys that do that, my mind immediately goes to the Iron Man Big Red Kerr. The 1950,
I thought you were gonna say George Mikan. I really did.
The 1954 Big Ten Player of the Year at Illinois. I know Iowa fans don't love the comparison.
Same form right there on that layup.
Iowa fans are like, now hang on, you're comparing him to an Illinois guy, and I'm just like,
get over yourself.
You got to get over yourself. Like, because when I watch Luka Garza, my mind just I'm like, is it 1954 again? Do I see Big Red Kerr out there? Making moves and getting it done in the Big Ten, and I kind of do. That's where my mind goes. So I thought that was a pretty good comparison. Big Red Kerr, of course, obviously, double every night out for the Illini and one of the great fighting Illini of all time. So yeah,
that's a great pick. And my center is Luka Garza. So that is my final pick, my final five. The National Player of the Year this year, a guy that we talk about unicorns a lot in the NBA. He's a dinosaur. He is an old school big. He is a guy that we need to adore. We need to talk about more. We need to support more because we got to love the bigs. My old school comp is the first Australian to play in the NBA, a 3-time NBA champion, Luke Longley.
I love it.
Look at that.
The great picture. Shout out to our production team.
They did a good job
with
that. Yeah. Luke Longley is beloved. I think Luka Garza should be beloved. He should get more credit for being – he could have been back-to-back National Player of the Year. And Luke Longley, I feel like, gets a lot of credit because he plays on Jordan's team. So let's give him the notoriety of Luke Longley. Luka Garza, there you go.
Luka Garza, if this was 1993, would be the #1 pick.
Yeah, Eric Montross. He's getting the Eric Montross 13-year contract from the Celtics.
Immediately. Yeah. I mean, he's holding out. He's doing what Glenn Robinson did. He's getting drafted, and then he's like, I'm going to hold out and sign the biggest contract in NBA history. But unfortunately, it is 2021.
Bring back the bigs.
I will be pulling for Luka Garza when he gets to the NBA.
The new Red Kerr, as they say.
So Luka Garza was my power forward because this other guy made more sense at center. I think Luka Garza, whatever. I don't need to say that anymore. And my center on my team is a guy who is blocking a ton of shots. His name is Evan Mobley. He's of the
great pick.
The USC Trojans.
Yes, he was the one snub.
He is quickly becoming Cade Cunningham, Jalen Suggs, Sharif Cooper are kind of the stealing all the headlines. Evan Mobley is very, very quickly, and he's been doing it all year, but it's just like really I'm falling in love with him as of late as my favorite freshman in college basketball. Here's a stat line to Tate. He's averaging 17 points. He's averaging 9 rebounds, also 2 assists, 3 blocks, 1 steal a game. He makes his free throws. He shoots threes. So when I think of a guy a big guy that's blocking shots, running the floor, carrying a team, USC, by the way, is very much in the Pac-12 title hunt. So I just think of a dominant force in the paint, who's blocking shots, dunking on people, doing it all. My mind immediately goes to Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal. Actually, his stats are very, if you look at Shaq's freshman year stats compared to.
This is how you get people to watch Evan Mobley here.
Freshman year Shaq versus freshman year Mobley, their stats are actually very, very similar. Shaq was 14-12 with 2 assists and like 3 blocks and a steal a game. And Shaq just couldn't shoot free throws or threes, obviously. And Evan Mobley can. I'm not saying he's going to be Shaq. It's not fair. It's not fair that I said that Ayo Dosunmu might be Hooks Wansner someday. That's not fair either. But that's the game. It's old school, new school. And there you have it.
Big shoes to fill.
Big shoes to fill. Shout out to all these guys. Hopefully, speaking of shoes, shout out to Jared Butler trying to fill Gentleman Jean shoes. That's not going to be easy.